Hello, everyone, and welcome to your very first lesson on your very first day of school here in what is Global Politics 2. Just before we get started, though, I want to draw your attention to a couple of things about logistics. This will make this video slightly longer, but just bear with me because you do need to know what you're looking at so that you can get used to the format of our lessons, how they're delivered, and the types of screens that you'll be looking at. So first and foremost, I want to draw your attention to these numbers up here in the upper left-hand corner. You will always be able to know what lesson and unit that you're on because that's what these numbers indicate. This is currently the 0 unit, and this is the 0 lesson that we're doing today. 0 it just means introductory, so this is our intro unit, and this is the intro lesson in our intro unit. And the lesson title is always going to be found here. What is Global Politics 2 is this lesson's title. Next, I want to draw your attention to that there's similar colors in both of these boxes, this circle as well as this rectangle here. And I just want to let you know that's on purpose because all the units are color-coded by color. So once we get further into the year and people start transitioning out of a unit and starting into another unit, you may see people with different colors. So I wanted to draw your attention to that. So in terms of content for this particular slide, this is your introduction slide, and every single lesson will have an introduction slide. And you'll always know that because of this statement located here. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to, and so this is a stem of a sentence, and so by the end of this lesson, you should be able to do the following things. This little list here is a list of lesson objectives, and every single video lesson that you have will have a list of objectives, so you know exactly what by the end of the video you should be able to effectively do. And so by the end of this particular video, you should be able to do the following things. Identify the 4 main parts, or main units of study in IB GLOPO. You should be able to explain how the course is broken down over the 2-year sequence. You should also be able to explain the difference between a paper 1 and a paper 2 for GLOPO, explain how the engagement activity works, and also explain what the HL extensions are. So, on this particular slide, we're going to take a look at course specifics, pardon me. But before we jump into that, I want to give you one more piece of advice. For the rest of all of my classes, for the rest of the school year, each one of these lesson videos are going to have items that are going to be highlighted in blue, or bolded in blue, if you will. You really want to make sure that you write those names, places, ideas, concepts, whatever they are. If there's something highlighted in blue, write it down, because that is going to be an essential part of that slide or an essential piece of information from the lesson. So if you don't get anything else at all from that particular slide, you definitely want to make sure that whatever note system, taking system you're using, that you want to make sure you put those things down and then elaborate on what those things are as you're listening through the video. So in terms of course specifics, Global Politics is a 2-year course that is completed in both 11th and 12th grade. You all have completed the 11th grade part. Congratulations. You are now beginning the 12th grade and second half. And over that 2-year course, we are expected to cover 130 hours of content. And that content is broken down over 4 units. The first one is the Power, Sovereignty, and International Relations unit, followed by Human Rights. And then this year, we will actually complete the next 2, Development and Peace and Conflict. So last year, you guys completed the first 2. The other components of the course are the engagement activity, which is an additional 20 hours that all of you are required to complete. And then lastly, we have the HL extension, Global Political Challenges, which are 90 hours. Now again, these are all the numbers of the regular IB Global Politics course due to global events such as the COVID-19 pandemic. These particular numbers and course specific could be reduced, but these are the course specifics for the normal IB Global Political course. The course is assessed using a paper 1 and paper 2. And so paper 1, it is a stimulus-based paper. It's kind of like a DBQ. So if it helps you guys to think of it like that, that's probably a better way to look at it. A DBQ stands for document-based question. And what there's going to be is that there's 4 compulsory short answer structure style questions that are going to be attached. There's going to be 4 documents for you to analyze. For some of them are going to be like basic understanding. Do you understand what you're reading? Do you understand this political cartoon? So they're going to be very, very simple. And then the other ones are going to be more concrete in skills and increase over time. And eventually you're going to have to use those 4 documents to answer a series of questions, those 4 stimulus questions. And of course, the paper 1 is worth 25 marks, and it's worth 35% of the global politics score. Then paper 2 is an extended response paper based on one of the 4 core units. They will actually have the 4 core units listed, and then I believe you write 2, yes, correct. You write 2 essays from a choice of 8, so there'll be 2 essays from power sovereignty, 2 essays from human rights, two essays from development, 2 essays, questions from peace and conflict, and you will choose 2 of those 8. And again, this is actually worth 50 marks and is actually worth 45% of the global politics grade. And continuing on with course specifics, the internal assessment, this is actually going to go a little bit deeper now. Because last slide we talked about the EA, the engagement activity. And here it is again in blue, so remember you want to write this down. So the engagement activity, this is the internal assessment. That's the global politics version of the internal assessment. So I hear all of you talking about IA, and like math and science. Well, here in GLOPO, it's called EA, or engagement activity. And so this is a 20-hour activity. It is a component. It is internally assessed here at by me or Miss Henson, but it is an externally moderated by the IB. Now, this is a written report. It's 2,000 words maximum on a political issue explored through engagement and research. This is also worth 20 marks of your GLOPO score, so it is an essential component of it that must be completed. And then lastly, we have the HL extensions for those of you that are going to take the course of the HL level, and they are known as Global Political Challenges. And this requires 90 hours of work. And of course, again, this is at the standard regular IB Global Politics course, so if there may be some changes due to global events, but in the average Global Politics course, you're required to do 2 recorded video oral presentations, 10 minutes maximum, of 2 different case studies that are chosen by the student from 2 different HL extension topics. And again, this particular aspect is also worth 20 marks for the HL student. And this actually brings us to the conclusion of our lesson. And you will always know that you're at the very end because there's a big old stop sign right here in the lower corner. So we know we're at the end when it says stop. And again, this was Unit 0, Lesson 0, and the lesson title was What is Global Politics 2? And if you notice, this slide is exactly like the first slide where we began. And at the beginning, we actually had a list of lesson objectives. But now we have taken those objectives and turned them into questions. So our lesson has ended or concluded. Can you identify the 4 main units of study of the IB Global Politics course? Can you explain how the course is broken down over the 2-year sequence? Can you describe the difference between a paper 1 and a paper 2 in global politics? Can you explain how the engagement activity works? And can you explain what the HL extensions are? If you can actually do that, then pat yourself on the back. You did an amazing job. Make sure that you go back and look to make sure that you have all of the blue items that were highlighted in there. Those are the things that are most essential and important. And if you write those things down in your notes and then have some information next to it, you will get the essentials of this lesson. So just make sure that if you don't get anything else, that you do have that. Thank you so much, and at this point you have concluded Lesson 0.0. Make sure that if there's an activity attached to it that you complete that, and then move on to Lesson 0.1 if it's uploaded for you. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.